Alrighty, good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about disaster plans and emergency procedures. All right, so first things first, make a plan. Make sure that you have an emergency plan. Your family may not be together when disaster strikes, so it's very important to plan in advance. How will you guys contact one another? If separated, how you guys will find each other, and then what you'll do in just different various situations. All right, family emergency plan. It might actually be easier to make a long distance phone call than to call across town, just because odds are you guys are probably going to be in the same predicament if you guys are just right across town versus, someone maybe from out of state or someone from 30 miles plus away. But it probably wouldn't be best to have like someone in the same subdivision make that call. So yes, an out-of-town contact may be better in a position to communicate amongst separated family members. And then be sure every member of your family knows the family or the phone number and has coins or a prepaid phone card to call the emergency contact. Now, you may have trouble getting through or the telephone system may be down altogether, but in these situations, it's very important just to be patient. All right, so emergency information. Find out what kinds of disasters, both natural and man made, are most likely to occur in your area and how you will be notified. So, methods of getting your attention do vary from community to community. One common method is to broadcast via emergency radio and TV broadcast. So, you might hear a special siren or get a telephone call, or emergency workers may go door to door. Or emergency plans. You may also want to inquire about emergency plans at schools that your family spends a lot of time, such as work, daycare, school, and maybe even the grocery store. If no plans currently exist, consider volunteering to help create one. Talk to your neighbors about how you guys can work together in an event of an emergency. You will be better prepared to safely reunite your family and loved ones during an emergency if you think ahead, plan ahead, and communicate with others well in advance. All right, get a kit. When preparing for a possible emergency situation, it's best to think first about just the basics of survival. You're going to need fresh water, food, clean air, and warmth and shelter. So, water. 1 gallon of water per person per day for drinking, sanitation, and hygiene purposes. Children, nursing moms, and sick people may need more water. If you live in a warm weather climate, more water may be necessary. And then store water tightly in clean plastic containers such as soft water bottles. And then try to keep at least a 3-day supply of water per person if possible. Food. Store at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. Select foods that require no refrigeration, preparation, or cooking, and little or no water. Pack a manual can opener and eating utensils. And then last, avoid salty foods as they will tend to make you a bit thirsty. All right, so you guys might be asking, well, what does non-perishable foods mean? Like, can we have some examples? So yes, choose foods that your family will eat. So first, that is ready-to-eat canned meats, fruits and vegetables, protein or fruit bars, dry cereal or granola, peanut butter, dried fruit, nuts, crackers, canned juices, non-perishable pasteurized milk, high-energy foods, vitamins, food for infants, and that comfort and stress food that we all tend to love. All right, and then other items from an emergency kit. Some items that might be helpful would be some battery-powered or a hand crank radio and a NOAA weather radio with tone alert and extra batteries for both, and then a flashlight with extra batteries. All right, so in regards to a first aid kit, in any emergency, a family member or yourself may be cut, burned, or suffer any other injuries. If you have these basic supplies, then you're going to be a lot better prepared to help your loved ones when they are hurt. Remember, many injuries are not life-threatening and do not require immediate medical attention. So knowing how to treat these minor injuries that come in a first aid kit can really make a difference in an emergency. And then last, consider taking an emergency or a first aid class. But simply having the following things can help stop bleeding, prevent infection, and assist in decontamination. So some items to include in a first aid kit would be 2 pairs of latex or other sterile gloves, sterile dressings to stop bleeding, cleansing agent or soap, and antibiotic towelettes to disinfect, antibiotic ointment to prevent infection, burn ointment to prevent infection, adhesive bandages in a variety of different sizes, eye wash solution to flush the eyes or, as a general decontaminate, a thermometer, prescription medications if you do have to take them, such as insulin, heart medication, and asthma inhalers. And you should periodically rotate medicines to account for expiration dates as well. And then prescribed medical supplies such as glucose and blood pressure monitoring equipment and supplies. So items to consider adding would be your cell phone, some scissors, tweezers, a tube of petroleum jelly or other lubricant, non-prescription drugs such as aspirin, anti-diarrhea medication, antacid for stomach upset, and a laxative. All right, so of course, there are so many things that you can put in a first aid kit. So some additional items to consider would be prescription medications and glasses, infant formula and diapers, pet food and extra water for your pet, cash or traveler's check and change, and this is very important, but family documents such as copies of your insurance policies, identification and bank records in a waterproof portable container, and just really any documents that you believe that should be on hand. Because if it's one of those documents that you only have access to it virtually online, if something happens and you cannot access it virtually, it's going to be so helpful that you have it with you on hand. So any emergency reference materials as well, which can be found at www.ready.gov. Alrighty, and then of course, more items to consider adding would be a sleeping bag or a warm blanket. So consider additional bedding if you do live in a cold climate environment. A complete change of clothing, including a long sleeve shirt, long pants, and sturdy shoes. And then also consider additional clothing if you live in a cold weather climate. And then household chlorine and medicine dropper. So fun fact, when diluted 9 parts of water to 1 part bleach, it can be used as a disinfectant. So you really don't need all that much. Or in an emergency, you can use it to treat water by using 16 drops of regular household liquid bleach per gallon of water. Now, do not use scented, color safe, or bleaches with any added cleaners, as those tend to have things that we just don't want. All right, so continuing off of additional items to consider would be a fire extinguisher, feminine supplies and personal hygiene items, mess kits, paper cups, utensils, plastic and paper towels, paper and pencil, and then, something to keep the kids entertained if you have them. So maybe books, games, puzzles, crafts, activities. Alrighty, so in an emergency procedure protocol, the person who receives notice of a disaster, emergency, or other urgent situation in the community does the following: notifies the chief operating officer, director, or designee, dials 911 if applicable to activate first responders. They monitor the local broadcast, so the TV, the radio, the internet, just for more information about what to do, what the weather is looking like, and what the road conditions might be. In all emergency situations, the chief operating officer or authorized designee functions as the crisis manager. And in all emergency situations, the chief operating officer or authorized designee will notify the Department of Community Health within 1 business days of the occurrence of the emergency. And then last, the chief operating officer or authorized designee will complete a written incident report and critique of the performance of the staff within 1 business day of the conclusion of the emergency of a disaster. All right, so you guys, if you've learned anything from this slide, I hope it should just be prepared. So again, you can visit www.ready.gov for any additional information on helping create a family disaster plan for you, for your family, and for your loved ones. So again, thank you so much for being here, you guys.